I get 9 to 10 hours of sleep every night, while most people only get 4 hours of sleep. How do I do it? Well, I've compiled the best sleep advice in this video to help you get better sleep. And I've applied these tricks in my own life, and as a result, I sleep consistently at 8:30 p.m. every night. And not only that, I'll explain to you how you can fix your sleep schedule at the end of the video. But first, I have to explain how melatonin works. Now, the reason why I'm going to explain what melatonin is because all of the things in this video are linked to melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone that's produced in our pineal gland, and it gets us to sleep. The more melatonin that gets produced in your brain, the more sleepy you'll become. So what you want is that when you're going to bed, you want as much of this hormone as possible. But not only does melatonin make you fall asleep faster, it also improves your sleep quality. So what I'm going to do in this video is that I'm going to explain to you how you can increase this hormone every time you go to bed so you can be properly prepared for a good night's rest. And by the way, none of this requires any supplements. They're all completely natural. So the first thing we're going to explain here are melatonin disruptors. There are certain habits in your life that gets in the way of your melatonin production. So what we're going to do, we're going to eliminate them. So the first thing you want to remove from your environment is blue light. Now, blue light has been known to disrupt sleep, but why? Why does it disrupt your sleep? The reason why digital blue light disrupts your sleep is because your brain perceives blue light as a daylight signal. So once that blue light enters your eyes, what will happen is that your brain will stop producing melatonin. And this causes a few effects. Your brain becomes more alert, your sleep duration decreases, and your overall sleep quality diminishes. So how do you get rid of blue light? It's very simple and easy, okay? Turn to your computer or your phone, right? And turn on red light. And have it on at all times. Do not have it off once. And to prove that switching to orange light solves this issue, I have a study. In this study, they took 15 people who were suffering from insomnia symptoms. 8 of these participants wore clear glasses, while 7 of these participants wore amber tinted glasses. The people who wore amber tinted glasses had vast improvements in their sleep. From my own experience, when I turned on orange light on my computer, the time it took for me to fall asleep went from 2 hours all the way down to 1 hour. That's incredible, right? But that isn't the only thing you need to remove in order to get better sleep. A lot of people make this mistake, which not only is it costing them their sleep hours, it's also greatly impacting their REM stage sleep, and that is scrolling before going to bed. So there's this study done by Sleep Junkie which confirms this. Their purpose was to determine whether scrolling before going to bed ruins your sleep. Let's look at one of the results they found, more notably TikTok. So before I explain TikTok's effects on your sleep, this is how your sleep is like without any scrolling. It takes 25 minutes to fall asleep, as well as 23% of that sleep being in REM stage. Now let's compare that to TikTok. When you go to bed after you had just scrolled on TikTok, it will take you 1 hour and 7 minutes on average to fall asleep, and get this, as well as a very low 14% REM stage sleep. So how can we eliminate this problem? So the goal here is to eliminate distractions 2 hours before going to bed, because 2 hours is how long it takes for your brain to repair. However, 2 hours is a rather long time. So what we're going to do is that we're going to fill in those 2 hours with something else. I'm talking about reading or working, because your brain wants to be occupied with something all the time. So we're going to replace it with reading. Now, those are the mistakes that everyone makes, okay? Now it's time to implement some habits that'll help you sleep better. And this is where the fun begins, because these habits are very, very easy to do. And this habit that I'm about to explain here, when I started doing it right, it took less time for me to fall asleep. And this habit is grounding. Grounding is when you take your shoes off and stand on the grass with your feet. It sounds like there's no correlation until you look into the studies, right? Until you start researching it. Here's a study that will surprise you. The purpose of this study is to find out if grounding can help patients with Alzheimer's mentally. And what they found out is that when these Alzheimer's patients were grounding, they managed to get better sleep than average. Now, this doesn't only apply to people with Alzheimer's, right? If you were to stand on the ground for 30 minutes every day, your sleep would improve. So how much should you ground every day? Anything that is above 30 minutes every day. 30 minutes is your minimum. Now, if you really want to increase your melatonin production, there's this other trick you can do. So when the sun sets, you want to go outside and look directly towards the sunset. The reason why this is important is because when the sun starts to set, the tonality of the horizon and the environment is replaced by a much warmer color. This cues the mind to produce more melatonin because it's about to be nighttime. So how long should you watch the sunset? The longest you should watch the sunset is for about 20 minutes. 10 minutes is enough as well. Once you've watched the sunset, I highly recommend going inside and doing some work. But as well as looking towards the sunset, something I highly recommend is turning off all the lights 30 minutes before sleeping. This was a suggestion given to me by my teacher, and the entire idea is that when you turn off your lights, the darkness cues your brain to produce more melatonin. So with all these tricks, grounding, watching the sunset, turning off all the lights 30 minutes before sleep, that will maximize your melatonin. And after all that, how you can get the most perfect sleep ever is to exhaust your brain throughout the entire day. I'm talking about working, right? You have a set of goals, complete those goals every day. The reason why is because if you have goals and you haven't completed them, it will make it more difficult for you to fall asleep. While if you were to get all these goals done, the brain will be satisfied and thus you can rest easy. Now, how do you go to bed earlier? Okay, that's a question you've been asking ever since you started watching this video. If you go to bed at a late time and you really want to go to bed early, apply these tricks during the day. Because what we're doing here is that once you watch the sunset or maybe ground or do any of these things, right, you're cueing your brain to produce more melatonin. And once you do that, you're basically cueing your circadian rhythm to fall asleep at this time. And as a result, from all that melatonin that's being produced in your brain, you'll fall asleep on time. Keep never quitting.